All right, today we're jumping into a really fascinating and, pretty mysterious corner of Islamic mysticism. We're talking about a practice known as Asma Sirr, which translates to the name of the secret. And it's a system that's said to promise not just deep spiritual insight, but a whole range of truly extraordinary abilities.
So here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll explore the incredible powers that are claimed to be part of Asma Sirr. Then we're going to walk through the very specific rituals that are supposed to unlock all that. After that, we'll dig into the really deep philosophy behind the practice. And finally, we'll look at some stories of how this is all reportedly used in the real world. So what exactly is Asma Sirr? Well, it's described as a really high-level esoteric knowledge. But what makes it stand out, what really makes it different, is this idea that it's profoundly multifunctional. So what's the big deal? Well, its core identity isn't just about one specific skill. It's all about its incredible versatility. You can think of it like a single master key that can supposedly unlock a whole bunch of different doors, giving the practitioner a huge range of powerful abilities. And what's really wild is just how much this is supposed to cover. I mean, the claims are just vast. You've got spiritual stuff, like getting a kodam, which is like a spiritual servant. Then there's the protective side, like being invulnerable to weapons. And it doesn't stop there. It gets into healing, activating your own inner power, and even some seriously esoteric things, like being able to scan someone's body or create a protective body of light. Now, to put this into perspective, you can see how it stacks up against other similar traditions. While another practice, say ASR, might specialize in invulnerability and another in getting rid of negative energy, Asma Sirr's main specialty is said to be healing, all while keeping that amazing multi-purpose power. Okay, so that's the what. Now for the how. How is this kind of power supposedly achieved? Let's trace the path now, moving from these incredible claims to the very specific, very disciplined rituals that are required to get these results. Right at the core, the absolute heart of this whole thing is this incantation. This is the central prayer, the key formula that gets recited over and over and over again. And these aren't just random words, as we're about to see. They're packed with a deep philosophical meaning that's totally central to the entire system. But before you even get to that main prayer, the practice kicks off with something called tawassul. Think of it like plugging into a spiritual network. It's a tradition where you send prayers to a whole lineage of prophets, saints, archangels, and even your own teachers and parents. You're basically linking yourself to this incredible chain of spiritual authority. And then comes the really intense part, the riyada, or the spiritual exercise. And let me tell you, this is not for the faint of heart. We're talking about a fast that lasts for 3 or even 7 days. On top of that, you're doing intensive recitations of that main prayer, hundreds of times, both late at night and after your 5 daily prayers. And it's all supported by daily meditation. Even when you're done, you still have to do a maintenance recitation every day to keep the connection strong. Okay, but here's the twist. All of that intense ritual, it's not the main point. Not really. The tradition is very clear that this isn't just about going through the motions. There's a deep philosophical core here that gives Asma Sirr, the name of the secret, its real name. So let's look at what that secret actually is. The real secret, the true goal here, is something called ma'rifatullah, which basically means truly, deeply knowing God on an experiential level. And get this, according to this philosophy, all those extraordinary powers we talked about, they're seen as just, side effects. They're not the goal itself, just a potential byproduct of this much deeper spiritual journey. So this journey of knowing God is broken down into 4 stages. And the very first one is all about humility. It's called ma'rifatuz zat, and it's about understanding what you can't know. It's recognizing that the absolute true essence of God is just completely beyond our human minds. That's a knowledge for God alone. Okay, so if we can't know God's essence, what can we know? Well, that brings us to level 2, ma'rifatuz sifat. This is how we can begin to know God, through his attributes. It's all about studying and really internalizing the qualities and names revealed in the sacred texts, like the merciful, the all-powerful, or the loving. This next step, Ma'rifatul Wujud, is a real mind-bender. It's about trying to grasp the nature of God's existence. The texts really stress that God's existence is in a category all its own, totally unique and unlike anything else. It boils down to this profound idea. If you can picture it in your mind, that's not God. And the final piece of the puzzle is Marifatul Af'al. This is all about knowing God through his actions, through his creations. It's got seeing the divine signature in the world all around us, from the mind-boggling scale of the universe right down to the incredible, intricate complexity of our own bodies.
Okay, so we've seen the incredible claims, the super intense rituals, and the really deep philosophy. So, how does all of this actually play out in the real world? How does this knowledge translate from theory into actual practice?
Let's take healing, for instance. The accounts give a super specific method using a simple glass of water. First, you state your intention to heal a specific illness. Then you do the tawassul, connecting to that spiritual chain. After that, you recite the asma while picturing a white light pouring into the water. Finally, you say it 3 more times while holding your breath, blow into the water, and have the patient drink it.
And these aren't just theories. The source is full of personal stories. Check this one out. Someone describes being caught in a downpour with workers on an open roof. After reciting the asma just 3 times and asking for the rain to be diverted, the sun reportedly came out right there and the rain stopped in their immediate area. Pretty wild, right?
Here's another one that's less about controlling nature and more about intuition. A practitioner tells a story about a friend who couldn't have children after 5 years of marriage. They say they received a spiritual signal, gave them some advice based on that feeling, and a little while later, they get the news that his wife is 2 months pregnant.
And it's not just about one-off events. The idea is that over time, practitioners develop these ongoing abilities. Things like subdhijati, the power where your spoken words can literally become reality. I mean, imagine that. You'd have to be really careful what you say, right? Other reported skills are a super sharpened intuition, getting information through dreams, and even methods to attract sacred objects from the unseen world.
So when you look at the whole picture, Asma Sirr it's a fascinating space. It's this incredible blend of deep, absolute devotion and claims of almost unbelievable power. And it leaves us with a huge question, one that really makes you think. When ancient mysticism meets modern life, where does faith end and power begin?